So, thanks for coming. Thanks for dealing with technical difficulties with us. Thanks for the introduction, Heather. I'm going to talk about Shakespeare. Shakespeare is a tool that allows you to make the web yours. You can build applications, you can build communities, no code required. You just need to have an idea to get started. So, the open web is dying. What does that mean? Well, building modern applications actually requires a lot of technical skill. If we rewind 30 years ago, we could have made web pages with simple HTML and images. Some of us may have even done some of this stuff on MySpace. And making web pages was generally available to everybody. It's still available to everybody today, but web applications today are extremely complex and extremely intricate, and requires one of two things. One, a lot of money to pay a developer, or two, to be a developer. You can make a very simple web page, but it's not going to gain traction unless it's more complex and more intuitive. And in a competitive market, you need to stay up to date with what your competitors are doing. So basic web pages aren't really going to fly today. So that creates a lot of problems. That means that a lot of creative ideas never launch. They never come to fruition. And then that also means that large tech companies gatekeep a lot of these. They basically say what gets to be built, or they buy up the competition or squash the competition. And that means communities are now building their whole entire social footprint, their whole entire foundation on a centralized platform, something that somebody else owns. But we can fix this. We can build without barriers. We can do so with AI. We can do so with Shakespeare. Shakespeare is a tool that empowers everybody in this room, no matter if you're a no-coder, you're a developer, right? Anybody off the street can just have a regular conversation and build any type of application that they want to build, because your idea deserves to be heard. Your ideas deserve to exist. What is Shakespeare? What do I keep talking about? Shakespeare is a browser-based application, meaning you don't have to install an app on your phone. You don't have to install software on your computer. You can just visit shakespeare.diy and you can start building today. It has over 40 different AI models out there. Some of you have probably heard of these before. Have you heard of ChatGPT? Maybe you have Gemini from Google on your phone. Maybe you've heard of Claude Anthropic. There's all sorts of models out there, and we don't lock you in to using one specific model. Maybe you've heard of some of our competitors out there, and whenever you use their platform, you have to use the AI that they designate. You can't switch. Shakespeare's very unique here, where you can choose your own AI. You can switch between your own AI. You can run even local models. So if you're somebody that, if you're real tech savvy and you want to be really sovereign over your own data, you can run a local AI model on your own computer. You don't have to use any cloud models out there. It's 100% open source. I don't think any of our competitors are really in the same regard that way, being 100% open source and giving users all these choices. So it's really, really, really special. Shakespeare allows you to go from idea to app essentially instantly. You just speak or describe what you want to build, and Shakespeare will build it for you. The building begins almost instantly. Shakespeare is taking the code and building your application right before your very eyes. You can tell it exactly what you want, and it will build it. If it doesn't build it to your mind's eye, what you have in your vision, that's fine. You can course correct. You can have a conversation with it and iterate and enhance features, and then you can test these features, and then you can deploy your whole entire application and share your idea with the world all in one application. Again, you don't need to link various tools or download various tools. It's all built in the web browser for you. I said earlier that we have over 40 AI models. To talk a little bit more about them, if you've heard of some of these, like the brand new Claude Sonnet 4 from Anthropic, we obviously support that, since I said we support it. We support ChatGPT 5 that just came out. ZAI is an open source Chinese alternative GLM 4.6 just came out. We support that as well. We also support all sorts of different local models like ChatGPT, OSS, Gemma 3 from Google, and DeepSeek, as there's another open source Chinese model. You can choose the AI that is based on your budget or based on the AI's feature set or capability. So what I like to do is I like to maybe pick a more expensive, more robust model to get started. So maybe I choose Claude Sonnet 4. And then after I get everything laid out, now I realize, okay, it's starting to get expensive. I can switch models now. I can switch to the open source ZAI GLM 4.6 if I want to and save tons of money and try to use that. And then if maybe the alternative AI doesn't build what I want to do, I can switch back to the gold standard or the Bitcoin standard. But that, I guess that implies there is no second best, but there is a second best in this case. So I would say try switching. That's one of the superpowers that we have, being able to switch your models. Now, all of your API keys, all of your data lives in the web browser. So that means if you were to use, if you're more of an advanced user and you're getting AI from all these different providers, we don't actually save any of your data. None of that information is saved like on our servers. We actually don't save anything on our servers. It's all local. It's all on your web browser. It's all saved on your device. So you don't have to worry about API keys leaking or giving us access to your keys or anything like that. We have multiple different ways that you can build with Shakespeare. We like to say it's really easy. It's very fast to go from learning how to talk to AI to building with AI. But talking to AI and learning what you want to build, a lot of us have never had to do this before. You know, we see something in our mind's eye that we want to build, and it's kind of hard to describe what you want. So it may take you a little bit of time to figure that out. Or you know you want to build something, but you need some inspiration out there. So we have various tools. We have various templates that you can use. If you know that you want to build a petition website or a small business website or a portfolio, for example, you can go to our template gallery and you can click Edit with Shakespeare, and right away that project is cloned into your Shakespeare dashboard and you can begin building. Or you can take any of the open source projects that anybody else has built on Nostr, such as myself, or maybe Jumble, the Jumble.social application, and you can import those directly into Shakespeare, and you can start editing them. So you can edit other apps that other vibe coders have built or other developers have built. You can import them and start working on them. It's a great place to get started, especially if you really don't know what you want to build. You can take inspiration from others. You can import existing code from GitHub or GitLab, Gitbucket, things like that. You don't need to start from scratch if you don't want to. As I mentioned earlier, everything is saved locally on your browser, and that includes all of your code, too. That's not just your API keys. All of the application, all the website, all the data that you're building, everything to build that and produce that is all saved on your device. None of this lives on our server. To get technical, it's honestly wild to me. It's almost like a little miniature operating system that lives in your browser. It's super cool. So you have access to all the code. You have access to all the data. You can download it and export it anytime you want to. It's all open source. You can look at our code. You can look at other people's code. You can store all the files locally, export them, and then deploy them anywhere you want to. There's Git version control. For those of you that are developers out there, maybe you've heard of Git and version control. We have that built in as well. We have more advanced features for that. Beyond just a UI, we also have terminal access. So if you're an intermediate developer, you're an advanced developer, you can still use Shakespeare too. It has something for everybody. Shakespeare empowers all of us, as I said earlier, to build, because it is something for everybody, where you can build applications for your community with Shakespeare. You can build chat apps, event apps, directories, media, really anything. You can leverage Nostr's entire network for your application. Other competitors out there will try to sell you a back-end database software, so you can use their software so they can mine and own your data and have ownership of your data. Well, that's outside of Nostr's scope. Nostr doesn't do that. So all of the back-end data is all stored on Nostr. And then that also brings up authentication. Sometimes people will talk about, oh, AI built apps are insecure. Well, we don't store any user credentials. We don't store anything for authentication. It's leveraging Nostr and private keys cryptography. So I would argue the opposite of that is that if we're not taking your authentication data and you're signing the transaction, then our vibe-coded apps are just as secure as anybody else's. So this is a Nostr event. I assume 99.99% of you are on Nostr, except for a couple of my friends in the back. Erica, Nicole. Nicole, your husband he's on Nostr. Why aren't you? Shannon, thank you for coming. This slide talks a little bit about Nostr here and what Nostr is. We all know that Nostr is decentralized. There is no central server. We know that Nostr is censorship resistant. We know that your social graph follows you. But the coolest thing about when you're vibe coding and you're building, and you don't know about it until you actually experience it, until you actually do so, is that what you're building, other developers, since it's the same protocol, other developers can import and work on what you're doing. If they're building a feature, you could import that and add it to your application. So Nostr, we talk about everything is interoperable because it's the same protocol. When you can implement something that somebody else built is super, super cool. An example of this is I vibe coded Yak Back in the beginning of the summer. It's a micro podcast / voice message first Nostr app. And some people thought it was really cool, and they incorporated what I built, what I vibe coded into their app. So right now, like Nostr, Jumble, Amethyst, they all support the voice messages that I created through vibe coding. And Damus and Primal are going to be adding it at some point in the near future too. They're working on it. So it's just a real world scenario that you can vibe code stuff and people can actually use it and then incorporate what you built into their applications because it's all interoperable. It's the power of Nostr. So whenever we first launched Shakespeare, I'll say 1.0 or Act 1, the first version of Shakespeare, it was for 100% no-coders, non-developers, which is great, but a lot of us are more advanced or more technical or full-stack developers, so Shakespeare 1.0 wasn't really for them. The new version, Act 2 of Shakespeare is. It has the power to now build whatever you want and however you want. So we have full support for full developers where you can go in and actually look at the files, edit the files yourself. So we have almost like a full IDE, a full development environment. And if you're somebody that's technical, you're a developer, maybe you want to go in and run some terminal commands. So we now have a full terminal where you can go in and you can run terminal commands. Or, as I said, if you're a non-developer, we still have all of that for you where you just go in, you let AI take control, you let AI drive, and AI can do everything that the more advanced features can do for you. For example, if you want to, if you want to examine an external data source, you could do a curl and look at that data source maybe, or if you are a developer. But if you're non-dev, maybe I say, hey, here's this URL where external data exists. I want to incorporate it. What does it look like? And the AI will do it for you. You don't need to know what it does. The AI will figure it out. It's really cool. So so Shakespeare lets your ideas flourish. Shakespeare gives you the tools to make your ideas flourish. Nostr gives you the network to allow it to be open and interoperable. And when you bring the two together, Nostr and Shakespeare, your creativity now can come to life. You can now build whatever you want to. No one can tell you that you can't build. No one can stop you from building. And you can build for your community like you've never been able to before. If you're a musician, you're a writer, podcaster, you can build an application and own your entire social graph, all your fans, all interactions. Something you could never do before. Maybe 6 months ago, you wouldn't have been able to do this. Now you can have a conversation and it can build an application for you. An example of this, Heather and I recently started a podcast. I built a podcast app for our podcasts. I built Podster. I named it Podster to make Fiat Jeff mad. Speaking of Fiat Jeff, good morning, Fiat Jeff. I didn't say that when I started. My bad. So I said in the beginning that the open web is dying. Well, we need to take back control, and I believe that's why we're all here. So to get started, you can visit shakespeare.diy, and you can start building today. If you scan this QR code right here, said you might want to scan this because this has a lot of free money on it for building with Shakespeare. So get started. If you've never vibe coded before, you can scan this QR code. It'll take you into Shakespeare. It'll activate credits, and you can start building with Shakespeare using the free credits. This so there's a lot of money on there, so use it up. And check out our resource center. If you go to shakespeare.diy, there's a little question mark at the bottom. Click on the question mark, you'll be taken to the Soapbox website where you can read all of the resource guides that I've written and MK has written. You can watch all the videos and my tutorials talking about how to do all this stuff. And if that doesn't spark your creativity, we also have a hackathon that's going on for another week and a half or so. The Halloween hackathon has 3 different categories where 87,000 sats is available for each of the 3 different categories: design excellence, functional innovation, or judge's choice. So design excellence is obviously a pretty user interface, so design something really pretty. Functional innovation is something technically cool that maybe doesn't exist on Nostr, or you're doing something technically interesting that hasn't existed before. And judge's choice is just a marriage of the two, whatever we think is really cool. So 3 different opportunities. Soapbox.pub, Halloween-hackathon. You can submit your entries there. And as always, if you have any questions about what I've built, what I'm using to build with Shakespeare, you can send me a DM. Derek's DMs are always open. You guys know that. Or stop by Monday nights, 8 p.m., Hive Talk, and see what people besides myself are building, and ask all of us questions and participate in the live building and live Q&A session every week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming.